Resolutions on Venezuela have failed to be adopted by the UN Security Council. First, by the United States that drew Russia and Chinese vetoes, and second, Russian draft that failed to even get the minimum number of votes for passage. The US draft called for the start of a peaceful political process leading to free, fair and credible presidential elections, in addition to unhindered humanitarian access, while the Russian draft called for the UN Charter to be upheld while encouraging the immediate start of an all-inclusive political dialogue in that country. And let's look at this package.
Sírvanse levantar la mano.
The United States draft received 9 votes in favour, 3 votes against from China, Russia and South Africa, and 3 additional abstentions. Russia's envoy said it blocked the adoption because they viewed it as an attempt at regime change disguised as care for the Venezuelan people.
Но, возможно, у США есть и другая цель.
Perhaps the United States has another goal: to enter into history. Were this resolution to be adopted, this would be the first time in history when the Security Council would dismiss one and would appoint another president of a sovereign country. Is this world diplomacy in action? I'm not even speaking of the political component here. This is not even a matter of Maduro and Guaido. Do you truly fail to understand that this is legally untenable and null and void? Is this thinly veiled trolling? Is it a mockery of members of the Security Council, those who plan to support the U.S. draft? Do you understand that you will become complicit in a legal theater of the absurd?
It's a diplomatic play we've seen before in this council, where 2 competing drafts are presented at the same time by Moscow and Washington, with neither having any hope of passage. South Africa called it unfortunate and an illustration of how far the council was from contributing to helping resolve the crisis. The African country later was one of 4 to back the Russian draft that called for member states to refrain from actions that would provoke an escalation of tensions in Venezuela. A minimum of 9 votes among the 15 members and the absence of any vetoes from the permanent 5 are required for any resolution to be adopted.
The resolution presented by the United States called for a peaceful political process. It is prescriptive on the outcome of this process and thus infringing on the sovereignty of Venezuela. Internal political process should remain the national prerogative of member states. From the outset, we can encourage parties to engage in a political dialogue, but we cannot dictate outcome of such as the holding of elections. Furthermore, the context of the crisis set out in the proposed resolution does not reflect a balanced understanding of the underpinning of the crisis in Venezuela.
The United States reiterated its position that the crisis in Venezuela extended well beyond its borders and threatens to destabilize the region.
Regardless of the results of today's vote, this resolution shows that democracies around the world, and especially in Latin America, are mobilizing behind interim President Guaido. The United States will remain steadfast in our support for the legitimate Guaido government and the National Assembly. We look forward to genuinely free and fair elections and to a government that reflects the will and aspirations of the Venezuelan people.
Council members who voted in favour of the US draft rejected Russian aspersions that the resolution would have been used as a pretext for a military intervention. Sherwin Briceby's SABC News, New York.